Hello and welcome to the Dutchin channel. It's Wednesday the 24th of April 2024. It's 9:15 in the morning and I want to do a tutorial on Beverley tomorrow. Now this is only going to be on races that we're expected to bet in. The other ones I will not do. So we're going to run through the Beverley card. This is just to narrow it down on what races to bet in and what not to. We know the first race, back to this thing with the amount of runners that have not seen a race course, so a line straight through that. Now the 245. Now what I will show you on a flat race is how to bet on a race like this and do it quickly. When you come through and look at the horse's names, it has a number after which it denotes how many days it hasn't run since. So all of these will just be numbers. There won't be nothing in brackets, which hopefully if I can find something I will show you. But these have just got plain numbers. Doesn't matter what they go up to, as long as they do have a number. Whereas if you just go back to the first race, you will see that only this horse has a number because it's run, and the last day it ran was 5 days ago, but the others don't have no numbers after. So quickly you can just put a line through that. So this one here, that will be a betting race because every horse has run. In the 320, this is pretty much the same, just numbers. The 355, again, just numbers. The 430, just numbers. The 505, same again. You will see this on most horse races on the flat. But if there's a horse that's run over jumps latest or point to point or anything like that, it will tell you. But anything that just has these kind of numbers denotes that it's been running on the flat. I want to come back into that, but I just want to show you quickly on today's race card what I meant, because there was a race at Gowran Park that I wanted to show you, the very last race there, and this will denote what I mean. Well, it's not just that race, but there'll be plenty. Now you can see in this race we haven't just got the plain numbers, we've got it's also been running over the jumps, right? And we don't want to see that. I mean, we're going to just click on a horse called Do Not, and you'll see within those first 3 races it's run over a hurdle, a chase, a hurdle, but we're doing the flat. We don't really want to see that. And there's so many races that you can choose from that you don't need to get involved with a complicated race like this. So we'll come out of this and we're going to go back into our Beverley card tomorrow. So I thought I'd just show you that so you understand where I'm coming from these races. So the first race that we would bet in would be the 245, which I've done all the form for there. I have done another tutorial video of how we get these numbers, so you're welcome to watch that one, because it's all about the last 3 races. So if we just look, I'm only going to use Copper Night as an example because I've got it top. If you look on column AL at the end here with the orange box, these are the ratings for that horse, but they are my ratings. Whether they're close to what they're supposed to be is another thing, but we will have a look at that in time. I just want to start with these ratings across here. We're only going to look at one horse, and that will be the top rated in Copper Night. And Copper Night at the moment in the betting is 14 to 1. So what we're going to do here, we'll go into the last 3 races. Now, because we've selected this as one of the races with the numbers that we saw on how many days it hasn't run since, the last race will denote that means it ran on the flat. If the second race happened to be a hurdle, you don't do it. All right? And you just do the first race. Doesn't matter if the third race is a flat race, you just do the first one then if something stops in your way. Because I don't like mixing the form at all. So we can see that Copper Knight has run the last 3 races on the flat. So we're going to start with the last race where it finished 6th. So we only need to bring half the page up. You can see that the rating post rating here was 107, and the horse next to the left hand side of the colours, you can see it got beat a short head, but that short head was only from the horse that finished in front of it. We want the distance that it's been beaten by Aberama Gold. So that's been beaten by 7 lengths. So we've got 107 as the racing post ratings and beaten by 7 lengths. And also we need the weight of Copper Knight, which was 8 stone 4, and what the difference was with Aberama Gold. Now you can see that Aberama Gold was offered 9 stone 7, Copper Knight was offered 8 stone 4. That in pounds, which is what we work in, the difference there would be 17 pounds. But Copper Knight would be a minus 17 pounds because that's what it is. This is higher, this is lower, so he's 17 pounds under Aberama Gold. So as we go into the first leg that I'm going to show you here, 107 was the racing post rating. It was beaten by 7 lengths, and if you're beaten, that needs to be a minus. The only way it can't be a minus is if you win, because it will be a 0. So you've been beaten by 7 lengths, and the pounds difference is on a minus 17 because you're on a lower weight than the one that beat you. So we'll take that one out as done. Then the second race, Copper Knight here finished 5th. The racing post rating of 104. Copper Knight gets beat by 3.5 lengths by the winner. And the weight again against Vintage Clarets. Vintage Clarets had 9 stone 9. Copper Knight had 8 stone 10. Difference between that is 13 pounds. And again, Copper Knight is under, so that will be a minus 13 pounds. So we'll see in the second race. 104 was the racing post rating, got beat by 3.5 lengths, which becomes a minus, and was lower in the weights at 13 pounds, so that becomes a minus 13. And you only work a maximum out of 3 races, so the last 3. And as I say, don't get confused if you see a hurdles race. If a hurdles race comes up in second, you just do the first race. If a hurdles race comes up as the third race, you do the first 2 races, as long as they're flat. But if the last 2 was hurdles and the third one down was flat, then just leave the whole race totally and not bother with it. So going into our third race with Copper Knight, again it finished 6th. The racing post rating was 98. The total lengths beaten was 7 by the winner. And this time the weights was 8 stone 10 for Copper Knight, and the winner was only 8 stone 9, and that was Wen Moon. So the difference here is that this time we're heavier than the winner by 1 pound, so that means that 1 pound becomes a plus. So moving into that third race, you've got a 98 racing post rating, you've been beaten by 7 lengths, and you've got 1 pound extra, or a +1, because you had a pound higher in the weights than the winner. These work out a formula, and it's easy to work out because it's just 107 minus 7 minus 17. So that becomes 83, which is our number 1 there. Then again in the second one, 104 minus 13 leaves 91, less the 3.5 leaves 87.50. That goes in the second box. Then 98 minus 7 leaves 91, plus the 1 is 92, and that will be in our third box. So we take the top of those 3 ratings and we put it in the next column, which comes under JHR, which is just John's horse ratings. So that is now 92. But how do we get it on today's rating? First of all, we have to put in the next column the total weights for every horse that's running in that race today. And we'll use Copper Knight as the example still. Now, Copper Knight, if you have a look here, let's just delete those. Copper Knight is running off of 9 stone 1. So 9 stone 1 is the first one in that weight column that Copper Knight will carry. Now the average on a horse race in the UK, and I just do this for all flat racing, the average weight for a jockey is 9 stone 2, just like it is in National Hunt where you will have 11 stone 2. Sometimes the amateurs will have 12 stone 2. The amateurs on the flat will have 10 stone 2. So it changes depending on the professionalism of the jockeys, basically, and to whether you're running National Hunt rules or flat rules. So all these weights here are the weights that they are carrying in this line today. So getting back to Copper Knight, 9 stone 1, it means we need to get Copper Knight up to 9 stone 2. So we've got to plus 1 pound or 1 point, in this case, to bring that up to 9 stone 2. And you'll see on the Coat of Brave, who we got to finish second, that's carrying 9 stone 9 today. So to get that to 9 stone 2, we need to take 7 pounds off that back. All right, so that would then bring that down to 9 stone 2. And then it would automatically add or subtract whichever it is. We know that Copper Knight was 92. It's now got a plus 1 because it's actually carrying less than the 92. And that will bring that figure to 93, which will be our rating. Now, when we look at the race here, this is a 0 to 85 handicap. So it is quite over the top, some of these, because the very bottom one's only 85. Now, normally I would get these pretty close. So I'm not sure why these weights are what they are because of this to the right-hand side. If it was me, I would have most probably, maybe if this horse came in and is now 93, I would have to take 8 pounds off the back there to make that 85. Maybe too many of these horses in it, the weight's too high. But when you look at one here that's only got 8 stone 4, you can't physically take off another 4 there to bring that down to 85, because we don't do 8 stone. So I can understand where they're coming from. They've had to raise the weights to get these figures at what they are. And of course, if our top one was 85, we'd have had to have taken 8 off, and then in that way, Mattis would have come up as a 77. But that race tomorrow, this is all for Beverley on Thursday, the 25th of April. These are the selections in the order that I expect them to finish. Now, I don't have to show you anything thing. Oh, I can do actually. There's one here where they dead heat. Now this could dead heat at the top. These two here have both got 87.50. So what we do, we come across to here in their last three races, and we'll see that Soul Seeker 87.50, but the closest one to that is 81. So he's 6.5 points away from the second time that it did. Whereas when we come down to Count Dorsey, the 84.50 minus the closest one to it is 83.75, leaves us 0.75. So this tells me that this is a better horse than Soul Seeker. So what we'll do first of all is change these two round, and now that's everything in perfect order. Not that I think we're going to go all the way down to here to get a bet on, but you don't know. So that is how the races are worked out. That's the 245. We've done exactly the same in the second race, as you can see there. And again, we got two horses exactly the same down the bottom. There's not a lot you can do if these are a dead heat there, or there's only one to go on. But the closest we've got here, this is 5 points different, and this one is 8 point something. So at the moment we can only go that Misty Time would finish above Spirit of Akram, and you only need to do these on the dead heat ones. So in the 320 at Beverley tomorrow, we've got Open Secret and Stay in the Game. Then into the 355, there isn't no problem with any of those totals, and our selection here would be Cat and Lady from Classy Boy. So they would be our two here. Don't forget, everything's worked out exactly as I showed you from that first race, the 245. Then in the Beverley 430, again, we have a dead heat at the bottom here, and we'll look, and we have these two have dead heated, and these are close. So that's fine to leave them in that order. So in the 430, we've got Arthur's Realm and Beltane. And then the 505 at Beverley, we come down to the side again here. There's no dead heats, that's fine. And our selections we've given are Moose and Lenny's Spirit. And moving into the last race, this will be something I want to show you as well here. Everything there is okay, and the horses we've got are Yulin, Gator Girl, and Let Me See the Colts. Now these are where, if you was to get a result here, they would be a big price, the top two. Now what happens when we click on them at the bottom is this is a handicap for 3-year-olds. Now 3-year-olds don't, like say in Australia, just go straight, or an American race where they go straight into a handicap. It doesn't happen here. We've normally got to have a run or two, or in most cases you have to be running 3 races in novice company or maiden company before you can run in a handicap, before you get a handicap mark. So what we're going to look at here, the reason why you think, well, these points are clear, the only reason they're clear is because they have been running in novice races. And this is mostly the mistake I made yesterday of napping a horse that finished way down the field in last place. So we'll look at Ulan, and we'll have a look at the last 3 runnings, and you can see that it's only one that stands out, is the 72.50 here. So that will be the second of the 3 races that we're going to look at. And even though the form doesn't really tell you anything when you look at it, it finished 7th of 9. But it's that racing post rating time that's the interesting factor here, which is 86. Ulan gets beat by 10.5 lengths, and the weight is £3 under the winner. So when we look at this, we've got the 86, we've got the 10.5, and we've got the 3. So sometimes when you throw in one like that, these horses can win, because I've seen it all before. But if you're betting and you're Dutching, these are going to be penny bets. These are not going to be a lot or two out of your £50 stakes, because these are going to be right at the bottom in the betting, I can assure you. But I have done it before. I napped a 33 to 1 shot once from the system, the same as this. So you will get some obscure horses come up, but you will also get one of the horses that appears there that has been backed all day that is going to win by 10 lengths. Right, so you will see that before anybody else, because it has to have hidden form, and this is pretty much hidden form that you can't see. Right, you would look at that and think, well, 7th of 9, not even bother with it. But in the next race, in the next horse, it happens again, which is Gator Girl. Totally bad run the last race, but of course, when you're looking for a handicap mark, you don't want to do anything but that. And 55 before that, and then it was a 72. So it pretty much matched Ulan. And this was first time out. Now, if I owned this horse and I looked at Gator Girl, I would be seriously thinking that this is going to be a good horse in time. If you have a look here, we're just going to take the third race back. Sorry, not the first race. We're going to have a look at the second race, because we only done the first 3. And you'll see it got beat by one of the Godolphins here in Movie Maker. And the racing post rating was 91. Now, even though Gator Girl finished last, it's only been beaten 14 lengths. I never worry about these prices, these are manufactured. Right, so it's been beaten 14 lengths, which takes that down to a 77. And it's been beaten for weight as well, 9 stone 2, 9 stone 7, so it's got a -5 off its back there. So you'll see 91 minus the 14, minus the 5 leaves 72. It's off of 8 stone 9, so there's a +7 to bring that up to 79. But let's just have a look back at the first race. And again, you can see it hasn't beaten the horse home yet. So how do we get this form? So let's have a look here. In the first race, it raced off 78, and it's been beaten 17 and a quarter lengths. So off of 78, we're talking now it's nearly down to 60. And then it was 9 stone 2, and again the 9 stone 7. So it would have been off of 55. So I think if I would have bought that horse and it raced off 55, I would have known my fate. But it has done this very weird time in that third race back that you have to warrant it, that it could do something at some point. Those 2 horses have got the form in the book, but when you'll be looking on prices for those tomorrow, I mean, one I backed last night that I fancied went off at 107, another one went off at 109. It didn't win, it didn't even come anywhere exciting, but they are horses that you want to log. These aren't the horses you want to log, because at best they're only going to be a 72.5 and a 72. Right? If you're going to log a horse that you think is going to be good in the future, they need to be higher than that. So these two could be something in that last race tomorrow, which we would bet on. And the third one would be Let Me See the Colts. And you may be able to go down to a couple more if you're doing the Dutchin system. But those are pretty much the Beverley selections for tomorrow and how we came by those results. So keep an eye on them tomorrow, and again in the results show tomorrow night it will be exactly what you see here, less the non-runners of course, and then we will see how we did. So that's the Beverley card for tomorrow and the end of the tutorial. Thanks for watching.